The narcissist curse runs deep. I want to talk about 5 ways in which this is true today. Because guys, if you think that these people have some great, cherry, wonderful life ever at any point, they went on to better things and the grass was greener, their life's great, it's wonderful. Guys, you don't understand. You really don't. And I fell victim to thinking this at times past, and you just couldn't be any more far off base. Even though the narcissist gets lucky and has things fall into their lap sometimes, including amazing people, they never have it good. Because the narcissist is, by their very nature, a cursed human being. They truly are. And this isn't to make anybody feel better or anything else, really. This is just to tell you the truth. This is just the facts about how this works. Because these people are of the darkness, which means they are cursed, which means they don't have joy and peace. They're not happy, they're not content, and they never, ever, ever are. And it doesn't matter what they have. So, the first way that this is true, and all of these are really important on this one. The first way it's true, the narcissist has absolutely zero authentic relationships. It doesn't matter, guys. You can say, well, the narcissist I knew, they still had relationships with their sisters or brothers or parents or children, or they had friends, they had whatever it is it seems like they have. It's about this deep. It is completely surface level. The narcissist does not get vulnerable with anybody, meaning they don't open themselves up, they don't divulge who they are, they don't get deep with anybody, they don't share their personal emotions. They're petrified of emotional intimacy with anybody, in any way, shape, or form. This is why the narcissist, people say, well, they have no personality. They have no personality at all. Well, you know what? I don't think that that's necessarily true. It's simply that they won't let anybody see it. Because A, it's ugly, but B, they're scared to death to actually open themselves up to anybody. They're so deeply insecure. Why do you think the narcissist pokes and prods on everybody? Why they cut and criticize? Why nothing anybody ever does is good enough? Why you can't cook and you can't clean and you couldn't drive and you didn't do this and the past person they were with didn't do this and the next person doesn't do this, and they're just the absolute nitpickingest creatures on the face of the earth. Only highly insecure people do that. I know we talk about the narcissist being this really boastful, prideful person, and they think they're better than everybody else. And there's a sense in which that's true, but that is a projection. That's coping 101. Because at their heart, they're terribly insecure. They think very poorly of themselves. They don't have self esteem. They don't have genuine confidence, because people who have real self esteem and real confidence don't need to pick on other people. So, whoever you deal with, if they are a nitpicker and they're a highly critical person, know that that person is very, very insecure, very shallow. So, they don't have authentic relationships. They might care about people in some strange, twisted way. I'm not saying that it's zero, like for their kids. I'm not saying that they don't have any care at all for their children at all. But what is always going to happen is they're going to prioritize themselves over their children or their parents or anybody that they're ever with. They don't develop a deep bond. They don't pair bond with a partner, with a romantic interest, with a husband, a wife. They don't do it, because to truly bond with an individual at a deep level means to open yourself up and expose your vulnerabilities. What makes you human? They don't do that. They can't do it. They're terrified because they don't want to be rejected. They're extremely insecure. They're not going to risk and wager that, because what if they truly opened themselves up to a person and in some way, now or later, they got shut down? They got rejected. The person didn't understand. The person was even a little critical. Have you ever noticed that with a narcissist? They can just pull out the bazooka, so to speak, and blow you up anytime they want. But if you bring out the 6-inch squirt gun and you hit them with a drop of water, they just melt like the Wicked Witch. They cannot stand to be in any way, shape, or form criticized. They cannot stand if you poke and prod on their delicate little insecurities, any little thing. I'm talking guys like you could criticize, make a joke about the smallest thing they do, and they will fly off the handle. They cannot stand it, but they can blow you up in every which way every day. So they have no authentic relationships. I won't dwell further on this. Imagine going through your life and you never really got to know anybody. That's the narcissist. So if you think they're now like bonding and it's great with the person they're with, it's impossible. They're not bonding with them. They're not deep with them. It's surface level. There's nothing there's nothing more than that to it ever. Two, the narcissist destroys every single good thing they ever have. It's a guarantee. It's even if you think, well, they're still with the person they're with, it's been 5 years or 10 or whatever the case is, they've destroyed that relationship long ago. Whatever that situation, that's why people call these entanglements or situationships or something else, because they're not relationships. Again, go back to the first point. But they will blow up every good thing. This is one of the most astonishing parts about the narcissist. That even though I know how they are, I still can't wrap my mind around it. They can come across a rare gem, unbelievable human being every once in a great while, and they will drop that person like it's a hot frying pan. They can blow up the best things that anybody could ever hope and wish and pray to come their way, and they'll blow it up like it's nothing because they can't bond, they can't attach, they can't recognize people's value, and they're cursed. And I didn't put this as a single point, but they're cursed because they always think there's something better out there. It does not matter what you bring, what you offer. Trust me, you couldn't have done any more, any better. You couldn't have been better looking, couldn't have had more money, couldn't have had a better house or job or your life together. None of that would have made any difference. Another reason why don't think it's working. Do not think it's working with somebody else. It's not. They don't appreciate anything. They don't see the value and appreciate the value of anybody. So they will blow up. They would typically blow up every good job they have eventually. If they have a great house and living situation, they'll blow that up. If they have a windfall of cash, they'll blow through that. If they meet amazing individuals, they'll blow that up. And they'll admit it sometimes. I'm the common denominator. I I think I'm the common denominator. Yes, you are the common denominator. They will destroy it all. They'll destroy the relationships with their kids so that when their children get older, they want nothing to do with them. That happens frequently. And if they do want something to do with them, it's because they have turned that child into a carbon copy of themselves or a codependent that just can't shake the trauma bond. But it's not authentic, it's not a good relationship. So they literally have to live with the curse of wrecking, destroying everything that comes their way. They are a vortex of destruction, and everything just gets pulled in and destroyed. That's all they do. They go through their whole lives like a tornado that just rips through everything that it touches. Three, this is a huge one. If you really think about this one at the deepest levels, it's just sick and twisted. They are doomed and cursed to repeat a cycle of futility. And what I mean is, we know that they have this cycle that they do with people. Love bomb, devalue, discard, hoover. And it's very real. This really does happen. All of this happens. The hoover is not a guarantee, but the other things are. And every single time they meet a new person, a new shiny toy that they think is going to save them, and it's the greatest person on earth. And yeah, I thought they were, and them, 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 and them. But this person, oh, this person, this really is the greatest person. This is the person I've been waiting my whole life for. They convince themselves of that every single time. Every single time. And so they have this cycle and they go into it knowing that it's always gone the same way. They'll get a few months in, and then I'll blow up with this person. I'll start to devalue them. It'll turn south. I know it always happens this way, but it won't now. It won't this time. Even though deep down they know that it will, but they become delusional. They gaslight themselves every time and thinking this will be different, this will be different, this will be different, this will be different, and it never is. And they literally go into this endless. Now you would think to yourself, if you are a sane person, not a spiritually demented person, you would actually stop at some point in this cycle and say, all right, I've tried this like 10 times. That's conservative. I've tried this like 10 times, and it always goes exactly the same way. Like, it starts off really good, and we get along great, and I think the person's awesome, and then something triggers, and I lose interest, or I get dissatisfied, and I start to criticize, and I start to think there's got to be something else out there, and we go through this wishy-washy, high-low roller coaster, and then either I end it or the person ends it because they can't stand it. Then we're on and off and on and off. And then I check up on them every once in a while and try to get something going again. And a person who's not a proper fool with any semblance of wisdom and understanding and ability to reflect and introspect would stop themselves at some point, and it wouldn't take 10, maybe a couple, and say, you know what? It always goes the same way. Maybe there's something about me that's messed up. Maybe I need to fix me. They won't do that. They'll never do that. Instead, they will every single time think it was that person. They did this, they did this, they did this, and it's probably always something different. They didn't give me what I needed. They didn't reciprocate. They screwed up. They were cheating, even though they probably weren't, and the narcissist was cheating. Whatever it is, they will go through their lives believing that it is the other person's fault always, always. So there's nothing for me to fix and there's nothing for me to change. And they also won't take a break. They have to monkey branch. They always have backups, building somebody in the background so that they can just go boom, 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 next to next to next, 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 next. And when they go to the next person, they'll demonize the one they were with. And then they'll later probably idealize them again and try to go back. And this is just this repeating cycle of futility. They know how it's going to go because it always does, yet they keep doing it. Why would anybody keep doing that? The answer is they're spiritually corrupt. They are demonically attached. So they're cursed. Number 4, they have to age. Guys, please hear this one. The narcissist has to age and lose the single biggest thing that matters in all the world to them. And do you know what that is? Validation and attention. The narcissist's whole lifeblood, whole fuel source, reason for living, reason to get up every day, to go on with their life is attention and validation and praise and the affirmation that other people want them and there's something good about me. Someone else wants me. Goes back to the insecurity. Yeah, they're that insecure. And it also tells you why narcissism is exploding today, because I've told you guys 1,000 times, the smartphone was really the beginning of the end for. No, look, the world was always corrupt, evil. There were always bad people. The smartphone and everything it brought with it, the instant access to dating apps, social media, attention, validation. You can be texting a million people. You can be talking to a bunch of people online, anywhere you want, cheating, setting up backups, sitting there like they so often do in their beds or on their couches at midnight, talking to 4 or 5 different people in a flash. None of this was ever possible until now. You can see that is instant validation and attention. It's validation on tap. That's the world we live in today. Now do you know why narcissism is exploding? It's not the only reason, but I guarantee you it's the primary. They have to lose those things because they get older and they lose. This is especially true for the female narcissist, just being honest. They lose their looks as they go on. The male narcissist loses their value too in many, many ways, but they lose the access to all this validation and attention because they get older. They get a reputation, they lose their looks, they lose their charisma, they get more bitter. And yes, they'll always have some people on the hook because there's the smartphone. And there's a lot of desperate folks out there. They'll always have some people on the hook, but those people lose their value as they go. Whereas they once used to be able to pull a really great person or have attention from some really great people, they don't have that anymore. They got a little too old. They got a little too dried up in many respects. And now they don't have it. And that, guys, is, I don't even know how to explain it to a narcissist. That is their own personal hell to not have access to the validation and attention that they once had. They were so used to it. And as they get older and older, it just fizzles and fizzles. And they get stuck with whatever's left, whatever's out there. I don't even like this person at all, but gotta have somebody. And then they're all the more miserable. And that's when they will look back on you, on me. It's not the only time, but it's the major time. And they'll say, man, I used to have that person, and I can't even get close to something like that again. I can't even sniff something like that again. That is the ultimate curse for the narcissist. That is them losing the thing that matters the very most in the world to them. They're cursed because that will happen. And that leads to the last one, which is connected. All of life really is a game to the narcissist. It's a game when they toy around with people, when they don't get serious, when they think there's better, when they have a great person and they just take them for granted and they blow that up. They want to accumulate as much as they can. They think this is some sort of game that they're going to get to the end of the life and cash in their chips and something's there for them. That's kind of what they think in their warped minds. And what they all learn in many, many ways is that this wasn't a game, but the game they were playing, they lost. They think they're the winners. They think they're so cute. They're so smug. All the little antics, all the little games they play. The triangulation was so cute, wasn't it? It was so cute when I gaslit all these people, when I gave them silent treatment. Everything is just this game that they think will go on forever, and it will not. Like I said, they will lose all much of their validation and attention. They'll lose all their relationships. And they'll get to a point where they have to come to terms, one way or the other. I thought life was a game. I thought this was cute, and my antics were funny and enjoyable, and I loved getting over on people, and it's over. And I lost. They lose, they turn this world for themselves into a game, which it's not, but they think it is, and they realize they lost. And then they'll realize they lost in the next life too. And I won't belabor that point because it is the biggest ultimately. But they lose in this world. They lose the very game they think they're playing, and then they have to come to terms with whether they believe there's something after this or not. They lost out on that too. All those little games, they gained the world to lose their soul, but only they didn't. They didn't even gain the world. They just did for a while. It was fun while it lasted, right? And it's over. The narcissist is cursed in the deepest possible ways. So they have no authentic relationships. They destroy every good thing they have. They're doomed to repeat a cycle of futility. They age and lose their attention and validation. And then they lose the very game they think they're playing. And they think they're winning all this time. So what this means to us is, guys, don't pine for them. Don't think they have some wonderful life. Don't wonder where they're doing, where they are right now, what they're doing, how well off they are. Don't think for a second they have it good. Don't think their next relationship is better or any of them is ever going to be better. These people are truly to be pitied above all creatures on earth. because they truly don't have anything in this life, and they will definitely have nothing in the next. The narcissist curse runs deep. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop comments below. Come at you with another one soon. Until then, God bless.